We're going live on YouTube now. It'll be a second then on Facebook. Hello and welcome back to the Friday night bet along, back to our normal slot at Friday evening. How's everybody getting on this week?
Ruby, how are you?
Yeah, great, LB.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. We're a little bit behind here, so we're going to come straight into the head-to-head and we'll come back to the usual introductions in a moment or two. So, Slats, you've gone in on the Almere game here. You're kind of hoping for a pretty quiet first minute, if I remember correctly from earlier on.
Yeah, well, Gary got in on those markets. I did take the goal kick, but I was at the corner, and you've got the throw in anyway, Gary, don't you, in the first minute?
Throw in, yeah.
Yeah, I think those have always gone in our favour since we started these head-to-heads. I mean, it's always been yes, pretty much, for an early throw-in, an early corner, and an early goal kick. In around the first minute, first 5 minutes, or first 10 minutes, whichever way we've done it. But it's favoured the yes bet so far, so I'm expecting to be 2-1 down after the first 10 minutes the way we have.
Well, actually, I think there's been a very time-consuming free kick has gone in here, so I think you've actually just won that. We've gone 1 minute 05, yeah, and the free kick hasn't been taken. That's actually round one to you straight away.
My Friday night.
Yeah, unfortunate, Gary, you're a little bit unlucky there.
Yeah.
You rarely see a free kick, or certainly in my limited experience, you rarely see a free kick that early. But
yes, that's kind of what you need for the no. Either a kind of a goal kick that the keeper just takes his time, hoofing the ball out, or a free kick.
Yeah. Right. Well, the next couple of markets are minutes 4 and 6, so we maybe just move back to our normal introduction. So for anyone who is new to the show, we do a Friday night bet along. We basically pick a couple of games, we put a few bets on, we talk through them. We have a head-to-head, which we'll explain in a little bit of detail in a moment. You would have seen how it looks there based on that last market, and we'll have a few different reviews of stuff coming up over the weekend, and we'll chat about the rugby, the football, racing, and a few different items that are on. So maybe considering that we don't want to be accused of any after time, we'll hand over to you, Slats, if you want to give us a quick update on our Friday night ACCA, which is just a pick from each of us. And
I'll fly through it. So we usually kind of aim for bets around evens, or maybe a bit better than that if we're feeling a bit ambitious. But I had markets picked out in the Dutch league, both teams to score in the Dutch 2. You're never going to get close to evens. I picked two games that were very likely for both teams scoring, and they were both at 2-5. But I think actually by the time we got on them, the Excelsior PSV game had gone into 1-3. So actually the two of those games combined comes in a little inside evens between them. I guess it makes it more likely that they should happen, but I need 4 goals. I need 4 teams scoring a goal in Dutch 2. That is quite likely. But I mean, I could run through the stats, but all 4 of them are just, scoring and conceding. One stat that jumped out. So the second game is Ajax 2 versus NAC Breda, and NAC's last 9 games have 3 or more goals. I think something like 8 of Ajax's last 10 have had 3 or more as well. So there's just plenty of goals there, and most of the time it's coming at both ends. It's rare that either of these sides keep a clean sheet. And then the second game, as I said, is Excelsior versus PSV. It's kind of similar. They're both averaging 3.5 goals per game. Their games are averaging 3.5 goals.
Mm-hmm.
across the whole season. So, and again, that's a high volume of scoring and conceding. So it's another both teams to score in that one. Gary, you've gone for the Birmingham City Swansea game, another both teams to score bet.
Yeah.
And you reckon what Bowyer coming into Birmingham is kind of making them more attacking. So like obviously that's 21st home to third in the championship. So Swansea are favourites, I guess, to win that game. But you think Birmingham should be good for a goal with Bowyer at the helm?
Yeah, Swansea do have a couple of players out, which is a slight worry. But I was going to put Swansea in just to win the game. They were 11-8, I think, to win the game. But I think this is a safer bet. Birmingham are down the bottom of the league. They concede a lot. Swansea's away form has been good. But as I said, I think that Bowyer coming in, he's in, I think, 2 games now, and they've just looked more attacking. So I can see them getting a goal. Swansea will probably beat them 2-1 or 3-1. But I can definitely see them getting a goal anyway. So fingers crossed for that.
And then the last one, sorry, is Delbise. This is the strangest looking one of all in the French national. Courvelly-Rouen versus Lyon. So like Courvelly are top of the table and Lyon are second bottom. I think they're 17th. I can't understand how they're not odds on. How are they odds against to win this match?
Yeah, it's very strange. Their form kind of, if you look at their form as in the last 3 games, they've only got 1 win. But you could make a case that they're out of form, but in reality, it makes no sense to me. Just before we do get too stuck on that, there has already been a corner in this Almere City game, so that's actually one back for Gary straight away. So it's actually off to a flyer here at the moment.
The action as we were expecting.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to give a run through for any new viewers about what that means in the head-to-head?
Yeah, we'll go through it here. So you can see up on the screen, we've got a slightly more detailed version of what the markets are. So a throw in the first minute, you would have seen when we jumped on straight away, there was no throw in that first minute. There was a free kick, held things up. So Slats has that as no, so he wins that market. We've got 11 markets across the game. They're all more or less even money or close enough to it that they're deemed to be fair, and the guys have taken one side of each all the way through. So whoever wins this wins 50 quid off the other guy. It's a head-to-head, we call it. It's fairly finely balanced. It's the first time Slats has taken on Gary so far. Gary's kind of gone for Almere in where he can, so we're probably hoping for a good home night tonight. The rest of them are pretty self-explanatory. So will there be a goal kick in the first 4 minutes? Gaz has gone no. Slats has gone yes. A corner in the first 6 minutes. That's already come in, so that's a win for Gary as well. Race to 3 corner, self-explanatory. Race to 3 shots, the same. And then the rest of the markets are kind of second half markets, which we'll come back to those a little bit later on. Are either of you feeling particularly confident about your chances tonight, I suppose?
I wouldn't say confident. I think it's going to be a tight game. They're tightly matched teams in the league, so the whole win markets and things like that are. I think most of them are genuine 50-50 markets. So it's very hard.
I agree with that. Yeah, even when I was trying to pick out which markets to go for, there was a lot of them where it was like I don't actually care which side of this I'm on because it's such a coin toss. So I was kind of trying to leave you to pick those ones. So we take turns of picking before the show, picking out which ones we favor. And yeah, I was trying to decide which I actually fancied, and we're just an absolute coin toss. You kind of might favor one side, but you wouldn't be making an early pick on it by any means.
Yeah.
Is there any? So I have a goal kick in the first 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we know.
No, we would confirm that one shortly.
Oh, that's grand. You wouldn't mind an early lead now?
Yeah. There's actually quite a few Dutch games on at the minute. I'm not sure, did you put any bets on, Slats? You tend to like a dabble on those on a Friday.
Yeah, well, so for our ACCA, I kind of ran through it quickly just at the start of the show. I've both teams to score in the Ajax game and both teams to score in the Excelsior game. So I mean, there's no goals yet. It's about 7 minutes, 8 minutes into each of the games. There's 6 matches on, and they're all 0-0 so far. But it's early yet. Plenty of time for that to change. And what I find, one market I did actually want to go for, I find that there tends to be more goals second half of these Dutch games. So I was eager to get on that market when we were picking our bets earlier for the head-to-head. There
we've
seems to
definitely
be
seen that. There's probably more goals
Yeah.
in the last 15 minutes than there is in the first 75.
No, it actually does seem that way. Like, I like my first half goal bets, but I generally avoid it in Dutch too, because you can just get done. You can be nil all half time and it finished 4-3 or something, and you're kicking yourself because all you wanted was one goal in the first half.
Yeah, for an extra 20% return, you just
yeah,
minus 100.
exactly, yeah.
Just to say as well, if you're watching in, make sure to interact. So we're monitoring the comments on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah.
So if any questions or anything you want to ask, just let us know whether you like the show, whether you don't, anything you'd like to see on it. Get the comments in. We've already had one comment in. It was a DM from Ashling, who asked what the story was with my hat. So
we're all looking the same thing, actually, in fairness.
At the minute, so a bit less of a,
the lesser of two evils. Yeah, that's what's going on there.
So
if you saw the show last week, actually,
on the 12th of April, I'll go hatless again.
Nah, Gary, we love the hat. The hat needs to stay. It's been a great addition to the Friday night. So I'm fully in support of the hat staying where it is.
It's better than the man bun that he had last week. I'll give him that, but that's a low bar.
That's a low bar.
That was for the production meeting, I think.
Oh, was it? It's hard to tell sometimes. It scarred the inside of my eyelids. Yeah. So, what about you, Lee? I was actually we'll come back to the Lewandowski issue later on, but I was wondering what the vibe in Poland is about the World Cup qualifiers. How are they feeling over there? Or do I put you on the spot now for something you're not prepared to
no, I mean, the rest of it? Yeah, like we've been talking about it in the office a fair bit. In fairness, like it was. I mean, I think they were very much looking forward to that England game. I think they were pretty like the people I were talking to anyway thought they might be able to do something, but the minute Lewandowski went down injured, they kind of just dashed their fears straight away. Like they didn't like the lad I talked to at work. He was just like he follows it pretty closely. He was just like he wasn't expecting anything the minute he went out. But I mean, overall pretty positive. Like they got Sosa in as manager, so I think that's shaking it up. I think they've always had kind of domestic coaches and stuff in the past, so. Something new from a managerial side, but like even watching it the other night, I was pretty impressed by them. Particularly half. I thought they were very intricate in play sometimes, like lovely touches. Like, and I hadn't really watched much of Poland beforehand, but I was impressed. Like, and obviously with Lewandowski, they're going to be dangerous every match.
I actually kind of had a similar feeling. I saw a good bit of that match, and I kind of thought it could actually be good for them to learn to live without him a bit. You know what I mean? They're kind of improve elsewhere as opposed to just trying. Hoof it up to Robert and hope for the best, which kind of might have been temptation before.
Yeah.
First name terms of them, LB.
I just, in case anyone Polish was listening, I wasn't going to attempt to say the surname. It's an easier win. What about you, Gary? Actually, I'm going to throw up your Aki here, Gary. If I'm not putting you on the spot, you've got a few games. They don't kick off just yet, but you've got to bet on yourself.
Before you go through that, it might just be worth mentioning. So for our combined ACCA, Covilli have gone up 1-0 already. So we were just saying like how they weren't odds on to win that match, top of the table. So they're up 1-0, which is a great start for ACCA. But sorry, go on ahead with your own personal one there.
So this is the League of Ireland bet, yeah? Yeah. So like basically, I fancied Cambridge earlier on. They were a decent price. I think they were something like 11 to 8. Haven't got the best in front of me. So I want to put them in something later on. Obviously, Shells are my club, like team of sport. We actually sponsor one of Shells players here at SportsRunDown. So they had to go in, even though I think it could be a bit of a banana skin for them. Bray aren't the worst team in the world. Shells didn't really pull up any trees last week. They got a man sent off kind of early in the game last week away to Galway. And then ended up drawing 0-0, which was a decent result being down to 10 men, but they need to put in a better performance than that to beat Bray. I will be watching it here on LOI TV. So looking forward to that in 30 minutes time. Then Cork away to Cabinteely. Cork should have too much for Cabinteely in that one. And then I said Galway are playing at Lone. That should Galway the way they played last week against Shells, even though they probably should have won the game. If they put in even 70% of that performance, I think they'll beat at loan. So the accumulator was 15-1. So yeah, excited about that. Forward to it. One stat just on that, I think we mentioned it last week, LB, when we were doing our Saturday show, and I had Cambridge in a bet then as well. So Cambridge were away that day. I forget who they were away to, but they were nearly 3-1. They were 2.5, 3-1 to win. And I was saying it was like, surprising to see them there because they're second in the league. So getting 11-8 against Morecambe, who are kind of mid-table or whatever, I just can't understand why they're so underestimated. But bringing it back to Shell, so Wes Houlihan, right? I saw a thing on a tweet on Twitter there the other day, and I actually haven't got it in front of me, but he doesn't play midweek games, right? So because he's like 36 years of age or whatever, they've said like, we'll play you on Saturday, we won't play you during the week. And Cambridge have something like their last 10 Saturday games they've won, but the last 5 midweek games they've lost. It's something like that. So basically the difference is being Houlihan being in the team or not being in the team. So I'll try and dig up the stat. I said it was somebody on Twitter, so I don't want to take their kind of stat and take all the praise for it. So I'll find it later on and I'll retweet it on the Sports Rundown Twitter feed. But it just shows that kind of class is permanent, even though he is kind of 37, 38 at this stage, I'd say.
38, I think, yeah.
He's still able to do it and still kind of makes the team tick,
Yeah. Yeah, he's always been a class actor. I actually saw that same tweet, Gaz, and it was like, wasn't surprised to see it. He's that type of player. Like, you'd well believe he's having that impact on games, like you say. Like when you have that class, like I think for Ireland, it obviously never really clicked for him. Maybe it was a level ahead of him, but I mean, even playing for Ireland, he still had those touches. He still had all of that class. So, he's
one there. NEC have had their third corner of the match, so that's another win for Slats. You actually took. You went to Almere, Gary, so unlucky there. That's 3-1 now to David. But yeah, sorry, Lee, I kind of cut you off there. I fully agree with what you were saying. I'm not surprised at all that he's having that impact over there, or down there. So yeah, I wonder whether they're trying to shuffle up their schedule a bit, or maybe they start playing him in certain games that they need to win because it's a huge difference.
And guys, like, is he a Shell's legend? Would you say? Like, would he be one? Yeah,
100%. Yeah. Like he was one of those players that you knew from the first time, like he played for Shells when he was probably 17, 18, but the only thing was in the League of Ireland, because he's so small, kind of couldn't show as much of his talent as he can when he gets a little bit more time in the ball, like on the international stage or whatever. But he was still unbelievably good. So yeah, he's definitely a Shell's legend, and his performance against Deportivo in the Champions League that time. Like Deportivo were finishing. I think they got to the semi-finals of the Champions League. They had like Diego Tristan and players of that playing for them, and like Wes was the standout player back then. So
this is at least triple digits. The amount of times you've talked to me about that particular match is at least 100th time that I've heard. I actually feel like I know every minute of the match. It was a great. I mean, the clips of it. Looking
without doubt, that time was the best time in my life. The kind of that kind of.
Let's hope Gary's girlfriend is now not watching this show.
Without any doubt, I don't think there will be anything to beat it. It was just unbelievable time. So yeah, I think that he's definitely a Shell's legend, and some absolute bastard last night put up on or yesterday morning put up about on Twitter that he was rumored to be going back during the summer, but it was an April Fool's joke. So they got onto it for about 30 seconds, and then I walked out and I was just like, shit, it's 1st of April, I bet you it's April Fool's. So I waited a while and checked back, and everybody was just like, oh, April Fool's. No, it's not. So there had been an interview before saying he'd love to go back, I think. But I mean, I wouldn't blame him. It's not him. He went to Australia first, and now he's living probably in a mansion in Cambridge, rather than going back to Ireland.
Just another update. Our our head-to-head is absolutely flying along here. So Almere just had their third shot of the game, which was a goal. So it is 1-0 to Almere, which has a few knock-on impacts on the other markets, but that's a win for Gary there. That's 3 shots for them.
Gets me back in the game.
Yeah, it's looking pretty
Was
impressive.
that 3-2?
Yeah, it's 3-2, but there's an asterisk beside Slats' third. So that I saw 3 corners with my own eyes, but the stats didn't update. So I don't know. Is it me? Did I get too much sun earlier today or something? So the adjudication.
One was probably a replay.
Yeah. I mean, I've thought I've seen Keith Earl score the same
That's
try
the count.
multiple times in the same game, so it's been known to happen. Just speaking of people going back to their old clubs and all that, this is not a topic for discussion. We've got actually quite a few topics we're going to run through. You can see them on the screen there if anyone's watching. So we'll be rattling through these throughout the rest of the show. But did anyone follow in any detail those Gareth Bale quotes about definitely going back to Madrid, and then he completely softened on it and was kind of like, oh no, legally I'm obliged to go back. I didn't mean anything by it.
Yeah, but I think he was just kind of, in those interviews, it's very hard to, he's trying to play PC, he doesn't, he's not really liked by the Madrid fans anyway.
No.
But he wouldn't want to piss them off any further by saying, I definitely want to stay at Tottenham. And then, Tottenham put in an offer and it's not accepted, and he wants whatever 150 grand a week, and they can't afford to pay him or whatever. So I think he was just trying to keep his options open, but it was a slow news week, and everybody just kind of, all of the tabloids just bid on it,
Yeah, he does seem like the sort of guy who can just talk himself into a problem awful fast.
Yeah, immediately as well.
Yeah.
It was a bit like the Kufal one there, I don't know, or Sufal, I don't know whether you saw it during the week with the racism row with the Rangers, Slavia Prague racism row, and it's like Sufal was asked about it, and he gave some sort of disclaimer before, just being like, I don't want to get into kind of politics or anything like that, so he gave a disclaimer, and then was like, oh, but as a guy, he's a great guy to have around the camp. And then it was just kind of like, all over the tabloids being like, Sufal takes racist side or whatever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, your man hasn't, the most likely thing is he's guilty, but he hasn't been kind of proved guilty yet. And,
we talked about this before, Gary. Your assumption of guilt, like the whole world, you're innocent until proven guilty, except for Gary, where it's you're guilty until you're conclusively proven to be innocent. I really hope I never end up in trouble and you're on the jury, because done.
Anyway, back to the point, it just, these interviews can be, when you see a headline or you see kind of a 30-second snippet of the interviews, I think they can be just framed in the sensational viewpoint. It just, you have to take everything with kind of a pinch of salt,
Yeah.
100%.
So they're just looking for the headline, really, aren't they?
Yeah. But I felt sorry for Sufal. I know it kind of changed what you were saying, but at least Bailey was asked in his first language. Sufal's been asked probably by a Welsh journalist, second language, being asked by a Scottish. I forget who they were playing with, it was Wales or Scotland that they were playing, and he just gave this answer with a disclaimer, and then it's all over the papers that basically
we're gone.
He's racist. Sorry to hog your Gareth Bale topic with a West Ham. How it linked well.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the Aki here. So we didn't do the Almere games. Are there any goals in the other ones, Slats? In the Dutch games?
Ajax one has been suspended, and it's on Betfair. It still just says starting soon. So I don't know. Is there something going on there? Is it a last installment of it? Some bloody COVID thing, or is it just late kicking off? But it's it's suspended at the moment, and there's no bets available or whatever. It looks a bit dodgy. The second game.
With me when you were speaking of the game getting postponed, were you with me the time with the Paddy Powers between Ringsend and Sandymount when I had the Leon game and it got suspended because of the weather and the match got cancelled and all that? Were you part of that?
Well, you were arguing out with the bookies, with a woman behind the counter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think basically it was up a different from Grafton Street, if I remember properly.
Was it? I thought it was that other one, but yeah, and they got no. You're thinking of a different. That was the one on Keir Street. No,
Yeah,
this one was the one in. Not that I have a lot of arguments with.
Well, I mean, the track record coming
They're the
out
only
now,
two.
right? We're getting confused with examples.
Yeah, no, the one up in town was that they gave the wrong payout, and then they went online and said, "Oh, this game was a draw," and we looked it up online. Like, it absolutely wasn't a draw. Remember that?
we were on about 3 or 4 different websites, and it was all showing the result. Like,
yeah, no, but the other one, there was a Leon game. It was like the 5th or 4th leg in an ACA I had on, and all the rest had won, and they voided that match, right? And I went into the shop to ask them what happened. They're like, "Oh no, the match has been cancelled. It's voided." And she went to pay me out my little bit. And I was like, no. That was kind of my main leg. I was like, look, they're playing it tomorrow. Like, you need to roll it on to tomorrow. I want the full thing. And then she rang like the head office, and they were like, yeah, grand, you can have it tomorrow. And then they obviously lost the next day. And it was absolute. I didn't go back in there for about 6 months. I was just mortified that they'd be like, there's your man. He didn't take his cash. So it was absolute.
insisting, take my money back.
Oh yeah, fully argued. I was like, you can't just do that. Like, the match is on tomorrow. It's still the same game. Blah blah blah. And she was
Would
like,
it have made any difference had you just taken your payout and put it onto that game as a
I don't know.
single?
Don't want to think
anyway?
about that. No, I mean,
it wouldn't have, like, unless the
Somebody else
other
hadn't moved.
yeah, I don't come out of this looking good anyway, so it doesn't matter. It was another low moment for me. So, God, I still have that bet slip as a reminder, just to, take it when it's there. This Almere game is just end to end now, but there's not really any end product. There's plenty happening, so hopefully a few of the other games that we're involved in are kind of going the same way and building up nicely.
I've jumped in already if we're doing our 20 euro challenge.
Oh yeah, Lee, give us a quick run through the 20 euro challenge for anyone who's unfamiliar with the concept, and then when you get to it, talk us through yours.
Yeah, I mean, something we've really got into the last few weeks, I think, and it's had quite a bit of excitement towards the 90 minutes. We basically throw our 20 quid in each online, and we're betting in play. So generally, the kickoffs around 7-8 o'clock in Europe. We're just monitoring those in the background. We're watching a few games, and we're just basically jumping into any value that we see as we go. So, I mean, it's been a bit of crack the last few weeks. Just I've jumped in already while the lads were talking, right? So, I did a bit of a punt, as we do last week, 2 weeks ago on the Eerste Divise in Holland. I did about 8 games over 2.5 goals, and all but 2 of them came in, missing a goal in each of the last 2 games. So I've decided I'm going to back that every week now, just do a smattering of overs in that league. So I've just jumped in. I've done over 2.5 in 3 games and over 1.5 in 3 others. So it's
which are the games?
Pardon? Well, and this has gone back to Slat's point, right? 2 of them are still suspended. So Helmond, Alkmaar seconds, Telstar, Utrecht seconds, over 2.5. Volendam, over 1.5 goals. Almere, over 1.5 goals. Maastricht, over 2.5. And Den Bosch, over 2.5. So
Volendam has just come in anyway. It's gone 2-0.
Yeah, it just popped up there. So that's come in. There's a couple of goals around the place. So yeah, that's me. Tenner into that for 100 back.
Very nice. Yeah, actually, I've always been quite slow to get mine going, so I better actually check those now pretty soon. Get in the SerieA games will be last 15 minutes, I think, at the moment. So let me quickly check if there's any value there. What about Slats or Gary? Have you had any thoughts on what you're going to do?
I think about 5 minutes ago I said I don't usually back first half goals and Dutch 2, and then I found myself looking at one of the games there, considering a first half goal. But yeah, I'd be a bit of a mug now if I went ahead with that. It's just like the Graafschap, like it's second versus second bottom. They're at home. They're 1-5 to win, and they've had plenty of attacks and shots. I'd nearly be better backing them to be leading at half time. So I might have a think about that, but I'll definitely have a bit of egg in the face. Having said that, I generally avoid first half goals in that league.
Once you make those comments, it's very hard to just justify anything. I think I'm going to put my first 10 on a goal in the Kievo-Spal match. It's 1-1, 65, 67 minutes gone. They're usually both pretty decent for goals. Looking at it here, it's been quite an open one, so I'm going to put on just below evens. So I'm going to put 10 on that, get myself going. A little bit more conservative than Lee, but we'll see what happens there.
Well, I was looking at Kievo win there at 3-1. So I'm doing that 3 to 1 of a tenner on, save another tenner for the League of Ireland to get me back in the hunt if it gets if that doesn't come in. But yeah, that's what I'm going for. So we're all in on the Kievo game.
Yeah, you can monitor that one, so Gary. We'll keep it clear
Yeah,
for our viewers.
I'll watch it here.
Very good.
Although, so like there might be a bit of crossover, but 7:45 shells are going on screen, so on the Reds.
Yeah,
Actually, buzzing for this now, like to watch them live.
Yeah, we just a little bit of feedback before we go on to that, Gary, from some of our viewers. So when we spoke offline, Slats, and I feel like I've kind of dealt you a bum deal here. Yeah, that you went with the Rouen to win that match. But if you're looking at the bet slip on the screen, it's actually both teams to score is what's on there. So I actually had a last minute change of heart in that game, and it's gone 1-1. Now, I mean, anyone who was watching from the start of the show will see that it was always both teams to score. So
not on my own bet slip that I followed from your pre-stream advice.
Yeah, but well, apologies about that. But
to be fair, you sent me a text with the details justifying the bet, and you had 3 options on it, and I just went with the first one. The home win. You did mention both teams to score.
I still think they'll probably win that match, and it could actually be my second tenner could go on to them now. But it has gone 1-1, so that leg is actually in on that Aka. The Ajax youth team or whatever they are there, that's still suspended. So I'm not sure. And then we've had recent.
We do have a comment in on YouTube from D3ZE. His name is her name is. So first of all, very polite saying hi and how are you guys? So
good. How are you?
Ready for a big night of making money, hopefully. But he's basically saying that he's recommending over 3.5 goals in the Young Ajax game. Follows it up with a comment that we won't repeat on air.
Can't repeat.
He's passionate about it.
D3, if you know what's happening in that game, because we're seeing it as essentially not happening at the minute. There doesn't seem to be any updates or any action. So if you have any inside information there, let us know. But because we've gone with both teams to score, as we're kind of aligned there. If you're over 3.5 goals, we'll be
I wouldn't be so concerned. You seem like you're starting to regret that bet, but it looks like there's plenty of time left there. I mean, there's plenty of time left there. So yeah, let us know in the comments if you have any more information than we have. Because obviously, I think if your bet's in trouble, our bet's in trouble. So we're on the same page there.
All insider information.
On with the Graafschap to be leading at half time anyway. As much as I might regret it, I have a 10 of my 20 on that at just over evens. It was like 2.18 on the exchange. So from that after thing.
Very good. Get the information
and
out there.
For the other viewers watching on YouTube and Facebook, as we said earlier on, like D3ZE has, get your comments in there. Let us know what you were backing. Any questions for us, let us know. And we'll give you a shout out. So as I said, make sure to interact. Don't stay quiet in the background.
Yeah. Just another one there. So just to avoid any confusion, that third neck or NEC corner has been chalked up now in the stats. So that is officially a win to Slats there. So looking at that,
where does that put me?
Yeah, 3-2, officially 3-2. So there was no throw in the first minute. You got that. There was a goal kick in the first 4. You also got that. The corner came after about a minute 15 seconds or something like that. It was very, very close to the minute mark. So Slats Gary won that. 3 shots was Almere and 3 corners was NEC. So 3-2 at the minute. The next 2 markets, actually, now that they're on the screen, anyone who's watching there will see that we got 2 that are kind of designated from the 45th to the 50th minute there, just to get a bit of excitement when the second half kicks off. And then the other ones are a little bit further away, so over or under 10.5 corners in the game. So Slats, you've got under there, or probably more accurately, Gary, you've gone over. And there's 5 in there already, so you're on track at least.
Gary went for the overs there.
More goals in the first half or not? I mean, we're on 1 at the minute, so pretty finely poised. And then second half result.
If it stays at that, I'll be confident that there'll be 2 in the second. And I need 2 in the second anyway, because I have the both teams to score and over 2.5. So
But overall,
it stays 1-0.
Anyway,
Yeah, it's very, very close. I mean, anyone who was watching us last Friday, which was 2 weeks ago, really. It was a very one-sided affair. PK, who's not here with us, that his one was wrapped up very, very early. So
Yeah, very.
this one seems a little bit more finely poised. I suppose that's the nature of everything. We tried to pick markets that are likely to get us through the full 90 minutes with a bit of entertainment, but some games are just, they're kind of they pan out not the way you'd expect, and then we get these ones.
If I'm still alive with my...
looking at go on, Sash,
Okay, sorry. I was
No.
If I'm still alive in half an hour's time on my €20 challenge pot, there's just a bit of rugby on tonight, a bit of Champions Cup and Challenge Cup. But Montpellier are playing Glasgow in the Challenge Cup, and I was chatting to the brother about it. We were both surprised that the handicap on it is only -3 for Montpellier, and it's one of those ones where you're kind of like, I don't know the French league that well, like, maybe I'm missing something. They could have players injured or whatever. So I just went Googling trying to find out anything from other articles previewing it, what they expect. And the first one I clicked on was like expected scoreline 42-22. So like this article is given a 20-point spread. Another talked about them, clearing a 6-point spread.
What's the money line? What's the odds without the spread?
Let me see that now. I don't have it in front of me, but you'd be surprised how, like, it'd still be well odds on, I would guess, or significantly odds on. Let me just see here now.
I think while you're doing that, I think we should just dive into the full.
Sorry, 8 to 13. 8 to 13
Wow.
that's well odds on for a team that are -3.
That's more +6. At least up to 6. I mean, 8 to 13.
Strange. Glasgow have been awful this season, like really poor. So I'm definitely going to be getting on that if I'm still alive, like we said.
Yeah. I think unless Gary or Lee have any objection, we might just maybe run into some of the more general rugby talk. We've a few topics prepared, and at least with the head-to-head, we've got until half-time and maybe 10-15 minutes before any of our 20 challenge bets expire. So
the Graafschap has just gone down 1-0, and I've them to be winning at half-time, so
that's gone.
Not going for a first half goal there.
Yeah, and just like agreeing, probably move on to rugby, but I'm not sure who said it, but Leon Ducher have equalised, so that's 1-1. So not great for.
We spoke about that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that. So sorry.
There's actually been 2 more corners, Gary. So you're over 10.5 now. There's already 7, and we're 10 minutes shy of half time. So that is already starting to go light green in your favour.
Nice one.
My money would actually be on Gary here, just between. We never picked a side, Lee.
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to say. Now, in fairness, I was leaning towards slats.
Were you? Okay, you can have slats, and he's a point up already. So I'll take Gary even though he's a point down.
A point up, but like we're really saying it's 3-all at this stage.
No, it's 3-2.
3-all will do the point. Yeah.
A gentleman's agreement, Lee. We'll go with tenner, will we?
We'll go with tenner. We'll go with tenner.
Right.
Appreciate the support, Lee.
Absolutely, slats.
No, you need a few more ahead slats before I'd be tempted to get on that. Slippery slope. Right. We'll jump over to the chat stuff here. So for anyone who's new to the show, we kind of have it's in the name Sports Rundown. We like to run through a few different topics. We're all strong opinions on various different sports, and we're going to add a little bit of structure to the show now, so at least you know what we're talking about when we're talking about it. So I think we'll start with the rugby here now, Slats. There's a few on the screen, the Six Nations, COVID delays in Leinster match. I won't even talk about the other Leinster match, but I'll hand over to you there for your thoughts on the various news items.
So it's just open rugby talk.
I'll let you go in the order you prefer.
Welcome to
Slats. I mean, I guess the latest one is the Leinster Huron game was postponed like real last minute. The news only came through at about 1 or 2 o'clock today, but it was a 5 p.m. kickoff, which seems really odd for a COVID cancellation. Like, do they actually test them and have results coming back on the day, like hours before a game? And I was just surprised with that. I thought it'd be the kind of thing where they would have been tested and the results would have been back, say, last night or that sort of thing yesterday evening. And they would have been kind of in a bubble within that time. So they would have been tested, the results would have come back, and, there would have been no other contact or exposure. But anyway, very late decision. The way, because of COVID as well, the way schedules for every sport out there has been changed, and the Champions Cup now is like it's last 16, then quarterfinal is next weekend, and it keeps going from there. So it looks, I don't know, has it been officially announced yet? But Leinster are going to get a walk over there.
Was it too long? Was it like we know where the
Yeah, it was the Toulon player. So it's the team with the COVID case that was out. Like, yeah.
Yeah, they seem to be a little bit more cavalier with their COVID precautions in France. I don't want to talk about a whole nation here with tarring with the same brush, but they seem to. My understanding of the one earlier was that it wasn't a last-minute positive test; it was a last-minute you were in contact situation. And maybe I
so
between the lines, but this guy has it, and then it's like a kind of a last-minute, oh crap, yeah, sorry, I had dinner with him last night type of job.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of makes more sense that, so it's not just how they run things. It's not that they just say, right, we've our tests back here 3 hours before kickoff.
Yeah.
But on that, like, again, not to be just talking about West Ham and changing the sport, but there was...
Sounds like you are.
At the start of the season, West Ham played somebody in the League Cup, and David Moyes tested and someone else, but they were at the ground when they tested. So I think there is tests that happen, and it might just be for the home teams, because obviously for the away teams, like, Leinster are traveling together, they're in the same hotel, they have all that kind of stuff. But like the Toulon players aren't in a hotel, they're probably at home, like, that way. So they...
No, the game was in the RDS. They were the traveling. Yeah.
Oh, right. I don't know. They must be like I said, for that West Ham time. I was the same as you. I thought that it would just be you get tested at training the day before, and then you stay kind of isolated, and then you go play your game. Yeah. But they definitely in the Premier League were testing players, like
on the day,
kind of 2 hours before kickoff.
Yeah, it could be a bit of both. So I'm a bit surprised with that there's so much riding on it in terms of, television and radio hours committed to it, and just that sort of side of it. You know what I mean? People planning a lot of time around it to announce it that late. But it's a disappointment. It's kind of like, I'd say Leinster are kind of caught between, the game time would have been good, the high intense rugby to, keep a bit of momentum. At the same time, rest is good and a win in the bag without stepping foot on the pitch. You're not going to complain too much.
Yeah, for a home game, they didn't have to travel. They're off the back of the Six Nations, and most of that Leinster team racked up quite a few minutes during the Six Nations. So
that's very true as well.
If this was a normal
in the Irish team.
Yeah, exactly. This is a normal kind of part of the season, or it was like the normal Champions Cup, and it was coming later, you'd be kind of all right with it. But I think, they came straight off the Six Nations into a really difficult Pro 14 final against Munster, and then, I think a week off would probably do them the world of good. So I think they'd be tough.
Yeah. Now, even though, like,
sorry, go ahead. No.
Well, even though they won that game last week comfortably, the Pro 14 final against Munster, like, they looked quite comfortable. All right, fair enough, it was level at half time, but as the second half went on, it just looked less and less likely that Munster were going to score a try or win the game. But it still would have been a physical game for them, and they'd been well drilled and well tuned in for it. That sort of way, like
there was no off days or light training sessions before. So I think this would be great for them to have missed this.
Yeah, a break won't be bad, and they'll be playing most likely Exeter next weekend. I think Exeter play Leon. Yeah, Exeter are home to Leon. So they should win that. They're minus 13 points on the spread for that. Like, so they're big favourites for a win there. So it'll be Leinster playing them, and the rest will probably do them good. Exeter are a physical team as well.
Yeah. Do you have any other bets from this weekend's rugby action picked out, or?
I don't really. There's another one in the Champions Cup that stands out a bit. Let me just see if I can spot it now. Sorry. There were a few games. La Rochelle are -7, which is a bit of a coin toss. Munster, Toulouse are actually 1-point favourites coming to Munster, but it'd be hard to go at that after last week. There's one more, I think, maybe in the Challenge Cup where the odds look good, but I can't see it here in front of me. So it wasn't as strong as the Montpellier one, like -3 from Montpellier, just seems very comfortable. So I'd be banking on that. That's tonight. If that comes off, I'll look a bit further. I might do an first try score bet or something on the Munster game, but given they failed to score a try and never really looked like scoring a try last week against Leinster,
no, that was a
probably
very
better off saving my
scoreline.
money.
It looked close for a lot of it, but in reality, it was, like you said, it was never really any try threat.
No, one thing as well that I still, I'd nearly need to watch it again, put myself through that match again. But I was talking before the game, and like completely in a biased Munster fan frame of mind, matching the player for player on each team. I was chatting to the brother about this and saying like there's probably only 4 Leinster players that you'd put into that Munster team, like that, 2 sorts and 2 that you'd argue for it. And for the most part, like I'd still nearly stand over that. It's so hard to see, player for player, you're at least up with them, if not better. You'd nearly favour more than half the team. And again, like, that there's obviously some bias there too, but I still can't pin down exactly where they turned that over. Were they, just better as a team, better, tactically better, set piece better, that sort of side of it. They definitely seem to be more tuned into the game. I think a lot of the Munster internationals, were pretty quiet. Like CJ was pretty quiet. O'Mahony was, fairly quiet. Byrne, had a decent enough game, but still quiet by his standards.
Yeah, there's definitely a mental issue. When we talked about it during the week, like they just bottled it. I mean, and they do against Leinster. They play well. Certainly in good parts of each season, they've been like, the last few years when things weren't great, they've had great moments, and then they go to Dublin and they just look. It's just like the regression is ridiculous. And I thought, like, for me, what summed it up was like CJ, who was an absolute warrior of a player, and he got the ball ripped out of his hands and on his knees. He looked over his shoulders and like threw his hands up to the ref, just like, please give me something for that. And I've never seen him in his career. I've never seen him look for a penalty off the ref, and it was like he's one of my favorite players. It was pathetic, like the way he was looking at the ref, and I just thought, right, in that moment, this game is gone. And then the ball
I don't
went down
even
the
know.
field.
Yeah, I wonder what he thought happened.
I mean, Earls dropped a catch. I've never seen Earls drop a catch.
No.
So.
Yeah, it was disappointing.
I agree with you. I think it is a mental thing. Just like, again, I wouldn't watch as much rugby as you lads, but I do kind of keep an eye on it, and watching some of the Munster Leinster games, it looks like a lack of belief that they can actually beat Leinster. There's been times where they've put in some really good performance and they've been up scores kind of late in games, and they've still come out, on the wrong end of the results.
Yeah, I mean, the last few games against Leinster just really struggled to score a try, and now Leinster's defence is obviously, very strong, but I think it could be the last 3 games now, and all important games. I don't think Munster have scored a try in them, or if they have, it's only been the one. Yeah, they've really struggled.
But do you remember? Was it about? You'd be better with the dates than me, Stats. About 3 years ago, there was I believe it was around Christmas, the game in Thomond Park, and Munster beat them.
That was the last time they beat them. Yeah, yeah. Am I right that James Lowe got sent off that game? Sorry, you froze there for a second.
Certainly, there was a lot of illness. Yeah, sorry, just continue on there. I think I'm having some connections problems.
No, that's grand. Yeah, one thing I was just going to say as well about the whole, Leinster kind of, mental issue that might have built up over the last few years. It will be interesting to see them, playing a very strong team in Toulouse. It's pretty rare that you would see Munster not favoured home. Toulouse, only 1 point spread, but they're slight favourites travelling to Thomond Park. It'll be interesting to see if Munster's issue is just coming up against Leinster, or if they're, if they've been performing well against a pretty weak Pro 14 league. I mean, outside of the Irish teams, the Pro 14 has been pretty poor this year. Munster obviously had that huge win down in Clermont, before Christmas in the Champions Cup. So You know, they
Yeah. Mhm. I was going to say, I think his likelihood to go will depend on other players. Like if it's a very senior squad with a lot of leadership in it, he's probably not getting a look in. But if they're a bit light on it, he might. Yeah, yeah. I, no. I think we'll just jump back into the football. So the Almere game is half time now. Or it's very close to it. If it's not, it's gone past 45 anyway. I think the Serie B is close to being done, Gary. So that's me and you in trouble. Um, mhm. it is it's a good service. But speaking of the League of Ireland, Gary, and then just Irish football in general, I know you have a few points that you've been bristling to talk about all week. So maybe it's. I think I've just written off the Serie B and it's half time in the Netherlands and a few of the other 7 o'clock kickoffs. Maybe we jump into that. Give you a few minutes before the football comes back on the hour. I'd agree with you. I'd agree with the principal point there. Like we're not winning this World Cup. If we got, we're not getting to it. First of all, if we got to it, we're not getting out of the group. It's just we're so far below the level of the other nations that it's just write it off. Like you said, there needs to be a plan. It's 10-year plan in reality. Get the players in. I forget the numbers. I'm not even going to try and guess them. But so people are rattling through like the amount of games and minutes that the players in the squad have had playing a top flight football over the last 2 years is it's got to be one of the lowest of any nation with aspirations of qualifying for a competition. So, like, I mean, I have personal opinion. Like, I think it's always bugged me about certain managers is like these kind of token substitutions on the 88th minute that are just literally can have no possible impact on the game and don't. And I've seen quite a bit of that with Kenny. Like a lot of them are coming 87, 88 minutes. So I think, but then at the same time he's not. Like this is a big step up for him, and give him time to kind of learn the ropes a bit as well. So like, there's a few things there that have kind of bothered me, but I don't think he's in any way responsible for the disaster that the football is in at the minute. And I think if you were looking for results immediately, I don't know why you got him. I don't know what you thought he would achieve in what's it been 7, 10 games. Yeah, there was an hour. There was an hour against Serbia, and it's the best I've seen Ireland play possibly since we qualified for the Euros in Poland, like the qualification for that Euros in Poland. It was so good to watch, and they all seemed like they're on the same page, and kind of everyone knew what everybody else was trying to do, and it just looked like a proper team. And then they kind of got tired, and obviously they didn't win that match. Yeah, that's true. But at least there's potential there now. When you like, I personally I'd give him more time. Like you said, if you get rid of him, who do you bring in? Yeah. Mhm. agree on that. And your phrase there, write-off, is actually a pretty apt segue into the Almere game. So it just kicked off, and there was a corner and a shot, both in the 45 to 50-minute segment. So that is now 5 for Slats, so 5-2. So Slats and Lee have stormed off into the lead there. It's actually going to. So any of the mathematicians amongst us will know one more victory for Slats, and that's the magic 6. So we could be in trouble pretty soon, Gary. Thanks for that. No, it's actually the other way around. Like, you've got half with more goals, you've gone the second half, and you need both teams to score, and yes, over 2.5. So they're both in your favour. The corners, there is already, we're up to 9 now. So 2 corners, Gary gets that. Home or away. So there could be 1 goal in this, right? It finishes 1-1. Your goals bet doesn't come in. The half with more goals is a tie. So that's Gary as well. He gets the corners. So if there's one, yeah. So we need a NEC goal, but only one NEC goal from 2 corners, and that's it. And if that's all that happens, well, then he gets it. If they win the match, you win, because you get more goals in the second half, and you get your over 2.5, both teams to score. So that's where we're looking. Actually, it could. Does it have to be? Yeah, go ahead. Lovely.
.5 in each of those. There hasn't been any yet, so there's no after time done on my end. But yeah, that's about 7-1.
I mean, that's what I was going to say, right? I'm pretty disappointed in the number of goals in that division across the board, right? It's been a fairly slim first half from the.
Yeah, but we've said it a few times. The Dutch 2 league seems to be there's such a
second half,
second half,
yeah,
and even the last 15-20 minutes regularly, a lot of goals. So I wouldn't be too concerned.
I'm on the same games as you, so I'm fully supportive of the bet. I would have hoped for a little goal here and there more, just to make the second half a bit less stressful, to be honest. But we'll see if they come true.
Yeah, and for our ACA, we need both teams to score in the Excelsior PSV game, and that's still 0-0 after 50 minutes as well. So that's something a little dodgy. I didn't include that in my own bet here because I'm already in on that.
Just a little update there for anyone who has been watching us. It's been brought to our attention that there were some audio feed issues. So I think certain people, most people on the stream, weren't being heard by the viewers. So to D3ZE, who was asking us about the Ajax game earlier, you might have thought that we just were trying to give you lip signals to lip read the answer. That's not what was actually going on there. We had a little issue on our side. So apologies if you think we ignored you.
Not at all. I mean, we spent 5 minutes talking about your bet there. I mean, I'm disappointed you didn't hear us discourage you from over 3.5, because I think it's still 0-0 Slats, isn't it?
Well, that game, it still hasn't. The Ajax game, that hasn't started yet.
It's not even.
That's the one in our racket that's been suspended. So I don't know, is it postponed or delayed or what?
No, it's off there. I was looking at it on live score. It's just I think they have the feed from the website is down, or that's what I was looking at anyway.
Oh, really? The Ajax game is kicked off, is it?
Yeah, still 0-0, 52 minutes gone.
Strange that it's not up on Bet365 or Betfair at all.
Maybe if
Yeah,
the
no,
feed, sometimes if they get a lower quality feed, they just suspend them and don't worry about in play.
but that's what it said. There was issues with the feed, so it's suspended. So like that's still suspended in my bet, right? It's 0-0, and then the other game where I have over 2.5, where it's come in already, it's suspended as well. So there's no difference between the two. They're just treating us like an old bookies. You're not gonna, they're gonna wait until they get the phone call to let everyone know the bet came in.
The good old days.
The good old days.
Yeah.
So that is still 0-0 though. That's a pain.
Still 0-0, yeah.
So actually, I think there might have just been a goal in that, because I've gone on to Sacco and myself here, and it's saying there was a penalty for Breda, and they scored it.
Well, I mean, if
That's a
D3
start.
has the insider information, right, a penalty is how this is going to start.
Just while you're checking that, Almere have had another corner, Gary. So that is now 11 corners. So you're back in it now.
Boom.
So I think that's pretty much it now. If it's a 1 goal only in this game, we double check this now. So actually it can be either team. Yeah, it could be either team because it's home or away second half result. So 1 goal, but not over 2.5. Yeah, so 1 goal and only 1 goal, and you're good. Or even 3-0 Almere, you're still good.
3-0, yeah. Once it's not the score, yeah.
Yeah. No, sorry, but it's the first or tie. That was it. Apologies. It has to be just because if the second half has more goals, you win that. So that's it.
Sorry, yeah. So
1 goal, only
to
1
either
goal,
team.
and you're good.
Guys, my computer is telling me it's 2-1 in the Shells
It
game.
is. It's just gone 2-1, yeah. I missed the Bray goal. I was actually flicking in to do a bet, and I came back and it was 1-1, and I was fairly depressed. Hence why you haven't heard anything. But Shells have just gone 2-1 up there. I think it was Ryan Brennan that scored. So nice to get that back up. And then any Athlone fans that were watching the start of the show and heard me say that Galway should walk that game and that they were a banker for it, they had to cut that out and slag me over because it's 27 minutes in and Athlone are 3-0 up against Galway. So I've done my Aka from earlier.
That's the one on the screen there for our viewers.
Put a bit of egg on my face as well. So yeah, like I said, Cambridge won earlier on. Shells are winning 2-1, still 0-0 in the Cork game. But I think it's a bit of a long shot for Galway to come back from 3-0 down.
Look, if anyone has faith in your Aka, probably Galway to not win that match is bigger odds than the original Aka would have been.
Yeah, probably.
Come here, can I just say to our regular viewer, Cast Iron Casey, who's he tends to be a little bit shy posting on YouTube, but he's given us a lot of feedback on WhatsApp there directly to the group. So I just encourage him to put his thoughts and feelings on YouTube, and we'll address them. We'll address them as a group. But needless to say, we're glad you're joining every week.
Absolutely.
Almere have just gone 2-0 up. But yeah, to echo what Lee said, we absolutely love that you're tuning in. So yeah, dump in the comments there if you want to get them out there. Otherwise, just keep routing them through your middleman there. Absolutely fine with that. So that's 2-0 now. So this is actually just sit and wait time for Gary. Otherwise, Slats is winning the 50 quid.
Yeah, but I mean, I need 1 goal in a Dutch 2 game with 30 minutes to go. I must be about 1 to 50. Is there any other? Yeah, it's just a goal now, isn't it? Like, there's nothing else that matters. No goal, I lose. A goal, I win.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
So the half with more goals, it's a tie at the moment. So that's Gary. Second half result, home or away, that's Gary. If it stays 1-0, and then over 2.5 and both teams to score no is Gary because it's 2-0. So
that'll be some sickening turnaround.
I mean, it's actually pretty plausible. Like, I mean, 2-0 feels to me like one of the most common ends of a game. Like, maybe not in the Netherlands, but in most places. Yeah, it's got to be 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-0 like that. Anyway, the wait is on now, Gary.
Keep,
just like that boring way, just not wanting anything to happen in the game.
Yeah, Lee, you'd be at your element here, just Mr. Contra, just watching it.
Away. I was actually going to jump onto that your Italian Serie B bet earlier on the Contra, but I got distracted by losing my money.
Free, easy money win for you.
Yeah, it would have been. I need to. I've dropped that down the last few weeks because of the stick I've been getting off all you, but I think it's the soundest betting strategy that I have at the moment.
It depends what your definition of sound is, because it's not sound at all. but it's a solid way to make money.
I'm watching Levante Huesca here. A bit of a random Spanish La Liga game. Huesca went up, a good game, and I'm just watching on La Liga TV. Like, it's good coverage they have there. Like, there's a full panel, a full setup. It's
so some of those like new ways of showing matches, like Gary was saying, the League of Ireland streaming and the Liga TV, the Premier Sports Online. Like, they're really I think they're eventually gonna overtake the older, more behemoth fellas, because it is a much better service, you know. And I think now something that Premier one online, it's unbelievably good quality. You never ever have an issue with it. So yeah, I like them.
Especially money wise, right? If they're gonna take all the broadcasting in house, I mean, surely they can sell it to markets where they don't have any money coming in already. I mean, I don't know how many there is, but yeah, definitely a change.
Yeah.
And just so no after time, lads, I'm pulling the trigger on the last tenner that I have.
Enough of that now, Gary. It's not the watershed yet. Keep that till after 9 o'clock. We apologise to any viewers.
Turn the camera off here. No, so I've done a treble, a win treble. So Cork to win, Shamrock Rovers to win, and Swansea to win. So it's 9.7 to 1. So yeah, that's to get me back in the black after my first half bet losing. So I lost tenner in the first half, but looking to finish 90 quid up.
Very good.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out that I've kind of pointed out probably every week since I lost that Dutch women's game where I put all of our combined pot onto one single goal in a Dutch women's game. There's 3 games there that are just wrapping up. They're kind of between 85 minutes and 90 minutes, and they're like 3-1, 4-3, and 4-1. So what's that, like 16?
Irrelevant. That's what it is.
16. I mean, it's irrelevant, but I've pointed this out every week. There's been goals every single week. Plenty of them in that bloody division. 16 goals across 3 matches, and I needed 1 in that miserable game.
I feel like it's just the virtual dogs kind of league. Like, there's actually no matches on, and just whoever bets loses, and they just move it around. Like, someone's actually backed over 0.5. The one and only 0-0 in that imaginary league.
Yeah, this first one in 10 years.
Yeah, nobody
always
goes
feel
near
like
it, and they just show
you can't
these
watch a match
scorelines
online. I'm instantly suspicious. You know, you see these like domestic games in Africa, and you're just like, I can't find a string of it anywhere. Don't trust the stats. Sorry.
Yeah, well, that's why half of fucking Asia was betting on the Irish First Division for a while, right? Before LOI TV brought a bit of legitimacy to the whole operation, they could actually see what was happening.
5 throws in the first 90 seconds. It's like 200 grand on it in Hong Kong.
Absolutely.
I can't find my my preferred second bet here now. So with my second tenner in the 20 quid challenge.
I mean, I'm gone anyway. I've a tenner on that speculative Dutch second division bet that I said already, and then I was very impulsive and threw a tenner on a throw in the second minute of the Levante game at 6-5, and unfortunately there was no throw in.
I thought Gary was the most degenerate of us with his corner bets, but I think throw-in bets takes the cake there.
I thought that was only for the head-to-head that we did throw.
Well, that's what triggered me to do it, right? Because we've seen it come in the head-to-head for
it's
the last.
Yes, every time I think, like, yeah.
But this was the thing. I was actually, before I put the bet on, I was like, actually, I'm sorry, but it seems way more likely to have a throw-in in the first minute than the second minute, because it's like the game's erratic in the first minute, right? The ball's going everywhere, and then it settles down.
Yeah,
like, this is why, and I mean, I don't want to say I've proven the rule with a sample size of 1 and probably 4 for the first, but I'm gonna say that it's lived up to expectations. It didn't come in today.
This game it didn't come in. I think though, like, that's the first one. I'll double check over our record, but that's the first time that market hasn't come in yet. I'm pretty sure.
I think so. Yeah.
I do agree with you though. If I had like gun to my head, there's more likely to be a throw in the first minute than the second minute. I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Take the kick off, pass it back, and quite often just hoof it down the field anyway. Head it out.
The one thing I know is that I haven't watched many Arsenal games, but I feel like Arsenal always play it back to someone and they punt it out to the wing. Like I don't know why they have that, because I've seen it a few times. Obviously, it's this.
Yeah, it's what
the
they do.
bias, but I just feel
Like
that's
they
what
try to
happened.
do that, passing out from the back, and when it doesn't work, it just invariably involves in a punt down the field. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah,
So I'll be sorry to cut across you there, but just see we've got some new viewers. So
absolutely.
just to say, if you are watching in for the first time, Joe, we're here. We've got our bets on screen. We've a couple of challenges that we do that we'll explain in a moment. But the main thing is that if you want to get involved, put your comments in to either the YouTube chat or the Facebook chat, so we're monitoring those. If you like what you see, like and subscribe on the relevant pages. If you're on YouTube, you can hit the alert bell, and you'll be alerted every time we go live. We're going to be going live a lot over the next couple of weeks. We've a lot planned, so make sure to keep up to date. Albeit, I don't know whether you want to just give a run through of the status of what's on screen there with the head-to-heads between me and Slav.
Yeah, so to anyone who's new to the channel, we do a head-to-head. So every Friday night we'll pick a game. We take 11 markets to kind of span the length of the game as best as possible. More or less even money shots, or even 4 to 5s, but broadly fair kind of coin tosses. And the guys take their choice in each one. So you can see on the screen there, Slats is taking the 11 on the left and Gaz is taking the 11 on the right. Then we watch the game and we just chalk them up as they come in. So pretty conclusive, or pretty dominant display from Slats here today. He's walking in really, and the way it's lined up at the minute, a single goal anywhere for either team at any point in this game, and Slats will win. The way that the markets transpire, Gary needs it just to end 2-0. Anything else, and Slats win. So it's 50 quid a man. So it looks like Gary will be sending over his whatever to be £43.50 over to Slats to compensate him for this week. So we do it every week, and if you want to get involved, just let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. We try to get back to you straight away. And then we'll do a £20 challenge. So if this is your first time seeing the show, it's probably not a great example of the £20 challenge this week's not gone very well.
Particularly poor.
That's because the other Dutch games have been.
I mean, yeah, can we just start the first rule of this tournament as well? So LB generally picks the markets that we're going to be
exclusively.
Yeah. But what he's been inclined to do the last few weeks is clip a few minutes off a few of the markets. So in the past, you might have been a corner kick, for example, in the first 5 minutes after extra time or after half time. But no, it's 4 minutes or 3 minutes that it gets moved to. So you need to be
just keep an eye out. What's on the screen is what's up there. I think the controversial one was moving from shots on target to just shots. The race to shots wasn't widely accepted when we made that change, but
it wasn't communicated until after the markets were picked. So
yeah, and I think I have a feeling I would have won the race to shots.
Convenient, yeah.
Relevant again.
Yeah.
And just while you're talking about the £20 challenge, so Shamrock Rovers have gone 1-0 up, so that's one of the legs of my treble. So not quite out of it yet.
Very nice.
Could be going from 0 to hero very soon.
Optimistic, but yeah, we'll leave it that. Well, I mean, if you get the no more goals, and based on a lot of the other matches, it's perfectly reasonable that there's not going to be another goal.
Well, I mean, I had a look at that no more goals, and I mean, it's obviously moving toward Gary's favour as the match goes on. But at the moment, it's 1-2 for another goal. So, it's 6-4 for no more goals. It's not a massive long shot for him to be winning that.
Yeah. I might just put. It's very conservative, but I might put my second tenner on over 1.5 in the Swansea Birmingham game. It's even money. It's actually 10 to 11. It just moved there. So I'm going to do that. It's not going to set the world on fire. It'll get me back to about a pound below where I started. But nothing else jumping out at me right now. Yeah.
Could do a first half goal there. You'd probably get good odds.
Yeah,
you'd also probably lose your money.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a tenner on just to try and not lose track of ULB.
Oh, snake. Speaking of losing money, Gary, I know we'd spoken during the week about Haaland and his flirtations with Barcelona at the minute. I'm not sure if you've been following that one in much detail, but we've talked before on the show, and anyone who's watched us for a little while will know that we've talked about the lack of money that a lot of clubs have at the minute. And I read during the week Barcelona's finances. So they lost, operating loss of about £120 million last year. And their debt is now like $1.4 billion. How on earth do they think they're going to afford this guy? Like, is it just they're so far gone they think they just keep plowing money into it and it doesn't matter, it'll come back at the end? Like, it just makes no sense. He's going to be at least 100 million because whatever his buyout clause is, 75 million in 3 years' time. So there's no way he's less than 100 million now.
The wages that, like, I don't like. I mean, whatever about the transfer fee, you can split it over a couple of years, and you're going to get the shirt sales and things like that. So you can kind of write that off somewhat, I think. But like, I've been reading he wants to be on 500 or 600 grand a week. Like, do you know?
Yeah.
So the collective package is going to be absolutely mind-boggling. And I'm with you, LB. I just don't see how Barcelona can, like, firstly afford it, and secondly, how they can get away with it in any sort of football. I know football fair play is kind of out the window because every time it goes to like the court of arbitration,
you see, it's officially gone now.
You know, but like
they said they're changing it now. They actually are getting rid of it. They're bringing in some new.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, so because it's a laughing stock, it makes no sense. It's not being.
Yeah, like I think the kind of the theory behind it, or the sentiment behind it, is probably right, but you have to be able to bring it in a way that you're going to be able to stick to it, and there has to be transparency and things like that. But back to the Haaland thing, like, I mean, unbelievable player, has the ability to kind of be at the very top. He'll score loads of goals in La Liga, but it seems like they're putting all their eggs in one basket, if you know what I mean. I don't see how they can bring good players in to support them.
No.
So it looks likely they're going to or Messi's going to leave them. So like they're going to have other gaps to fill in their squad, and having one striker up front, as I said, well, he'll bang in 30 a season or 40 a season in La Liga. I don't think him on his own is going to bring you to Champions League finals and things like that.
It's not bringing him to the top of the Bundesliga. Do you know what I mean? So there's no way it's bringing him even to the top of the La Liga.
And he's not replacing Messi, and he's not going to be like,
It makes no sense. There's no way. No. There's no part of it makes sense. And it's actually funny. We have it here on the chat for the show. We probably won't get into it today now, but the NFL free agency. And I read a little kind of quote by somebody during the week. And they were talking about all the kind of new quarterbacks coming in, and they're all negotiating huge, big contracts for themselves. And they basically said, like, look at Tom Brady. He was never, ever one of the top paid quarterbacks. He wanted to win. If you go to a club and you're whatever age Haddon is, his early 20s, and you're demanding 600 grand a week, you must know that you're not going to win anything with that, because there's no way that club is going to have a supporting cast that can actually bring you to the top of the league or to the Champions League. You just have to accept it, right? I'm going to be a billionaire by the time I retire. But I'll have had maybe 2 more Copa del Reys and that's it, because it doesn't make sense to me, these fellas. I mean, obviously, it's, when you're in the position, it's different, but why are you pushing for that 600 grand
but
salary?
That would be like, what you're saying is perfectly, like, it's a great point, because the structure, it feels like American football has the structure, and it's well known for top players to take hits to improve the supporting cast. But I feel like football is really reaching the fucking limits of wages. Like, it's probably gone beyond what clubs can actually afford. 200.
I wouldn't be surprised if we end up living to see some form of salary cap come into European football.
Exactly.
Becoming unsustainable.
Yeah, it is unsustainable. And if he's saying those figures, and if they do put some sort of cap in, well, then you'll see who the players are who want to win, or who are the ones who want to make money. And that'll add another dynamic, right? Because then you'll start seeing players move, because if they have their ego and they want to be the highest paid player in the world, well, then they're going to go to a club who actually has that cap space or money available to pay them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually said that the other day so I'm in an MLS Major League Soccer kind of discussion group. And I was reading through some of the comments that were in there, and somebody put a comment up and basically just being like, the MLS having the salary cap was basically restrictive, because they're never going to get the quality of players over there. They won't be able to go out and get a Haaland or whatever. But to me, that's what makes it competitive, in terms of, you're not going to have these dominant leagues where you've, SerieA, and mostly, Serie A is probably a little bit different, but mostly it's Juve, Inter, maybe Roma, somewhere like that up the top. Then you go to like the Premier League, it's City, United, Liverpool, Arsenal, whatever, like 4 or 5 teams. Germany, basically just Bayern Munich. La Liga, it's just Barca and Real. So
yeah,
I think it's going to get boring. Plus, I think there's going to be like probably clubs go bankrupt. I mean,
they will.
Yeah.
I think it's at this stage.
they will.
We don't want to get
now.
I think you look at Barcelona, they got whatever we said there, €1 billion, $1.5 billion worth of debt. And that's them. Like, they must have, they're certainly in the top 5 revenues of any European club, whatever, like any European sport club. They're probably the top 1 or 2. Like, the few of the English ones would be the top 5, Barcelona right up there. If they can amass that kind of debt, and like I said, operating losses last year of 100 and something million, imagine what the medium-sized clubs are going through, So I think it's going to be a car crash in a couple of years. We can even see it with this show, like over like back even 5-10 years ago, everybody was watching your top leagues, your SerieA, Premier League, La Liga, and the interest is drifting away into like Dutch League 2, Segunda Division, Serie B that we watch here, because the top leagues are just destroyed with money, in my opinion, and the kind of viewing figures seem to be going the same way a bit. So I think it's just there's a tidal wave coming of problems with that.
There has to be. Speaking
of this show, like a record of penalty misses goes on. So not good for our bet along ACA and not good for your bet. Birmingham got a penalty, and one of the worst penalties you'll ever see. I'm not sure who took it. I only saw the replay, but the guy hit it straight down the centre, and I hit the keeper's knee. The keeper didn't even move his knee and went out. So that record is still intact anyway, and not great for the bets.
That's a bit disappointing. I think the Excelsior Young PSV game is gonna kill us anyway.
The Ajax one, I thought it actually went 1-1, so both teams did score there. But Excelsior still 0-0, so that's
killing. And the Cavilli have just gone 2-1 up as well. So I mean, it's still not too late. If you get a goal in the next 15 minutes late or 15 minutes left, if you get a goal in the next kind of 5 minutes, you probably want PSV to go 1-0 up and then Excelsior to go all out attack to get an equaliser. But it is a long shot at the moment. Yeah,
it's a bit disappointing really when your 1-3 shot is letting down the 4-1 ACA or whatever it is. Actually, it's much harder than that.
Am I right in saying that this will be Slats' second week in a row letting us down on the ACA? Is that correct?
Well, no, we weren't on air last Friday, so incorrect.
Well, second bet along in a row.
But I had 3 right in a row before that. So
look, no one's counting store Slats. Will you?
Go on.
I had 5-2 shot and a decent back. I can't remember who let it down, but yeah.
Well, stick to the 5-2 shots, will you? These 1-3s are awful.
Just pretend it's not a 1-3. It was a even money for 4 goals in 2 games.
We got
my betting account is telling me it was 1-3.
Two of them have come in.
We're in the kind of opposite position here. So in the head-to-head, Gary, we're praying for no more goals, but in the every other match we need goals.
It's a delicate one.
It's half time in the League of Ireland anyway, so.
You're now favourite as far as the bookies are saying, Gary, for no more goals in the Almere game.
See, this is the way I roll. On the last one, Joe, when I was against Lee, last minute goal got me out of trouble. Now I think it was.
Yummy bastard, I think, crazy.
Well, look, he's gone walking off now because he can't take the reminder. Slow and steady wins the race,
That's it.
I'm just looking at this. I was flicked on a bit of that PSV game. I don't see there being goals in that. Unfortunately, now.
Really?
No, well, hopefully I'm wrong. I'm wrong about most things I back, so happy to be wrong here as well. Speaking of backing things, Gary, in the bookies, we said we'd throw up a few discussion topics around sort of changes in the betting industry more so than any particular sport. So hand over to you there if you want to give us your thoughts on that. I know your passionate opinions on them.
Yeah, so before I get into that, the first thing I'll say is we meant to say when we were talking about the kind of Haaland topic, we do have some specials from William Hill, who are kind of our partners in this show. So 3 specials for you. One is in the Leicester Man City game over the weekend. So I think that's tomorrow. Basically, for new customers, set up an account and you can get either 100 to 1 on Leicester or 25 to 1 on City to win. So pick your team, who you think will win. Leicester 100 to 1, City 25 to 1. So
you take the 25s there, don't you?
Sorry?
You take the 25s there, I'd say.
Oh, definitely take the 25.
Yeah, definitely.
100%. The next one is Chelsea versus Porto and Bayern Munich versus PSG. So for both Bayern and Chelsea to win, they're offering 60 to 1. So that double is 60 to 1. Again, 2 home teams, seems likely. Obviously, the Bayern PSG is the dodgy leg there, but you're getting 60 to 1 about what's probably a 6 to 4 or 2 to 1 shot. So if you fancy a bit of that, go and take it. And then in the Madrid-Liverpool game, so similar to the Leicester City game, you can get 40 to 1 for Madrid to win, or 50 to 1 for Liverpool to win. So all of those links, if you're on YouTube or on Facebook, you'll see a link to our link tree that's pinned in the comment section. So if you click on there, it'll bring you in, and each of those bets will be there. Just click on the one you want. It'll bring you into William Hill. And I said, when you set up the account, make sure to include the reference code. So when you click through, you'll see the terms and conditions, and there'll be things like EPH10 or EPH20. They're the code that you need to put in order to get your get the reward. It should be automatically loaded, but just double check that to be sure. So yeah, they're the bets we have. Then on to the kind of bookmaker conversation. It's really around the SP. So in horse racing, the starting price. So for anybody not familiar with horse racing, essentially the starting price is if you were in a bookmaker's, obviously online, you nearly always take the price that's available, unless you're betting really early when the market hasn't been formed. But if you're in a bookmaker, you can write out a slip. And if you're writing down, I don't know, Telstar to win the Gold Cup, if you don't take the price, you get the SP, so the starting price on the day. And that starting price basically is taken from, there's an algorithm for all of the on-course bookmakers. So on-course at that meeting, so if you're betting at Cheltenham, the on-course betting at Cheltenham in the betting ring determines the SPs of all the horses. But obviously in COVID times, there's no bookmakers on the tracks because there's no fans on the tracks. So since kind of last March, that has moved to being calculated based on industry prices. So you have your Paddy Powers, your William Hills, your Bet365, all those. They submit their prices to the SP Commission. They calculate the SP essentially based on an algorithm. So like people who've been watching, anybody who listened to our Cheltenham preview night will have heard a question in to Brian the Bookie, who can probably explain a little bit more eloquently than I can. But essentially the question was, the SP calculation, who's calculating it? And Brian kind of referred to it then without knowing that this was going to come up, because this is kind of a shock in the market this week, or in the industry this week. But essentially, as Brian was saying, that the value for the punter is being eroded because how the shop bookmakers are essentially getting their book percentage. So obviously, anybody who's not familiar with book percentages, check out our website. Our new website will be live kind of mid next week, and we'll have some tutorials in there around gambling and book percentages. So we'll walk through that next week. I'm not going to go through it on this show, but to get their book percentage, essentially what they're doing is they're shortening the top of the market. So the most probable winners, and then they're kind of enhancing what are known as the RAG. So the 33 to 1 shots, the 50 to 1 shots. Instead of the 33 to 1 shot going off 33 to 1, it might be going off 40 to 1. Instead of a 50 to 1 shot going off 51, it's probably going 66 to 1. But what's happening is if you went in, so I was watching a market today at Linkfield, and the favourite with the bookies was 3 to 1, but it was something like 5.2 on Betfair on the exchanges. So that gap in terms of the difference between the prices, essentially all like over the last kind of 15 years, everything has gone to tracking Betfair and tracking the exchanges for essentially the real market. And the bookmaker will take your bet, and if they want to lay it off, they'll just guarantee themselves a certain percentage between the price they're offering you and the price they can lay it off on the exchange at. But that gap has widened now, and as I said, like it was nearly like 100% different, like 3-1 to 5.2, I think it was. Like there's a massive difference in price there, which essentially is, if you're a value punter and you're looking to back your 100 to 1 shots, you're looking to back your 66 to 1 shots and get a run out and you're happy with place and stuff, this is probably benefiting you, but you have to, I don't think many people make money that way. The big gamblers who be having, $5,000 on at 6 to 4, they're the ones being shafted because instead of getting 6 to 4, they're getting evens. Do you know that way? So yeah,
is that just not going to force them onto the exchange in reality?
Probably, yeah, to get that value. And I said there's probably a little bit of an opportunity for Encore's bookmakers when they get back, because
hopefully,
I assume, again, I've been guilty of it. I kind of like to give bookmakers my money in terms of the on course when I'm on course.
Yeah.
But if you're going for you've all been to Cheltenham, you're there and you're in a queue for drinks, and you want to be able to drink your drink, but you can't get to the bookies. You just take out your phone, you do the bet there. But now when they come back, when the Encore bookmakers come back, if the shop bookies are still kind of playing tactics with the SP, they're going to have better prices across the board, and it probably gives them a little bit of an opportunity there to win back some of the business that they've been losing to people just out of easiness or easy use on your phone or on a laptop. So it could be an opportunity for the bookmakers when they get back. But overall, I don't think it's great for punters.
No,
it doesn't sound it. I mean,
it's no surprise that they're shorting markets like that in their favor.
No, because I said it's the most they're most probable winners. So they obviously want to offer the minimum odds available about those horses, but it's just, I suppose, the frustration, and we won't get into a rant about the gambling industry, but the frustration is that these companies aren't out there making small profits. Do you know that way? Like you look at Bet365, their joint CEO, I think the salary and bonus was £460 million or something for a year. So when you're able to pay that out to your CEO, I don't think you should be messing around with the SPs and dodging a punter out of 0.5% here and there. So I mean, hopefully over time.
But the thing that the gambling market does well is actually making punters think that the actual bookies markets that are being offered are like some sort of free flow reflection of the market, when it's actually clearly not, right? It's several points off what the actual market is. And what people think, your average fucking lad in the pub on the Sunday thinks, oh no, this is just, they're only taking a small cut off the top. But actually, if you're looking at it from a finance point of view, it's manipulation of the market, but no one knows the true level. So they just.
Do you know what I like with the new kind of explosion of gambling in the US? And it's so, I mean, obviously the history of gambling in the US is very shady, and that's why it's so highly regulated. But all the bookmakers have to publicize their hold every month by category of bet and market. So you can see then, and basically the bookies that have too high of, basically what percentage of each book they retain for themselves in profit. And any of them that are too high get called out straight away. All the big kind of personalities in the sports betting industry over there will come out and they'll say, oh, Gary Nolan's Lewisham bookie, you held on to 12% there of your singles bets. That's a bit high. So they're all making a killing in the US on parlays at the minute because people are just, they're so excited to be getting their first shot at them. They're pumping tons into it, and nobody really cares about that. But the ones in the singles market where people are holding 10, 12%, they're going mental over there. And here it's just like a black box. You're just going, they're taking a slight bit off every bet, and then they're making billions in profit at the end of the year, and you don't really see where it's coming from. So I think,
it's and even down to the Grand National. So the favourite for the Grand National next week is a horse called Clock Cap, and he's a worthy favourite, and I'd say they do have a little bit of exposure for him because he's kind of been sticking out as a horse that was targeted at this, and he's won a few decent races this season, and kind of people would have backed them for thousands and had their money on again. But like they haven't got a massive amount of liability there. And even if they do, it's going to be a 40-runner race over 4.5 miles or 4 miles, 2 furlongs. And, you know, there are 39 other horses running in the race for them. And they're going 7 to 2, which to me just like, I mean, as I said, he's probably the most likely winner. And I mean, I'd love to see him win it because I like the horse, but I will not be having, like, I won't even be thinking about putting a bet on him at 7 to 2. Oh, like, I don't ever back the horse in the Grand National at less than 8 or 9 to 1. And even at that, I was probably getting sick doing it, like, you know, that way. So it's just at every angle they seem to, the bookmakers do seem to be, you know, shafting the punters slightly.
And who is backing him into 7 to 2, right? There obviously is some momentum behind the backing there. Like, is that just people who just heard the name, see it on the thing, want to back it? Because you're walking away from that value, right?
Yeah, well, like, I mean, the people who would have been backing him, like, you know, like in November or whatever, when he won Hennessy in November, like, if you backed him then, you probably got 20 to 1. And then forget the race he won in January. Just slipped from my head, but like when he won that, he was probably about 16 to 1. And then he went into like 8, and then Tiger Roga pulled out, and then he was put into 7 to 2. So like there has been like a general drop, but I don't think there's the liabilities that are there for a race like the Grand National.
Will it not just move people toward the exchange? Like, I mean, you're not just better off going to the exchange if a horse is incorrectly priced there than you instead of backing it.
Yeah, like, but I mean, I wouldn't say there's that much liquidity in the Grand National anti-postmark. I haven't checked the exchange. You know, on the day, I'd say on the exchange, he'll probably force.
Yeah, anti-post. You're right. There probably isn't. Yeah,
I do think the anti-post markets are just generally getting killed, and I think in a few years, unless something changes, it'll be wiped out because the benefit of doing them is just gone, and the only kind of anti-post bet you'll see would be kind of Joe Soapers, like just putting on a 10 or 5-fold. It pays $250,000, like we saw the cause Celebres during Cheltenham, and people are just, you know, that's all it's going to be. There'll be no one seriously taking it seriously and putting on any.
But would you say like the anti-post market, like it's obviously very, very, very difficult to offer odds in that market in the first place, right? Because there's so much speculation involved. But like, does the bookies' manipulation become more prominent the closer you get to the race? Because they obviously
just in case, by the way, I'm not sure if any of these words. I was going to say we lay off the word manipulation.
Sorry, the business sense.
Yeah, so like, I mean, there's two things to, like, I mean, again, they are businesses at the end of the day, so they're not there for like, well, they're there
pure even money shot.
Bookmakers don't want you to win, so. Like, that's the general kind of starting point of it, that they're not, when I say shafting, they're not actually shafting you, because if you go onto the exchange and you could offer 2 to 1 about something that you think should be 5 to 1, you'd be happy about that, you know, that way. So they're obviously going to do that, but so in the anti-post markets, to answer your question, some of it is slight greed, but others is like pay back the punters for what they've been asking for over the while, or over the last kind of number of years. So like in the anti-post markets, if your horse dies, if your horse gets injured, if your horse, anything happens when he comes out, you're losing your money.
God forbid.
And what's obviously happened, what we've seen happen is like all these justice payouts, like that was unfair, so we'll give you all back your money. And that's an expectation with some punters, that I put an anti-post bet on something at 10 to 1, and then he gets to like the day before Cheltenham next year and stands on a stone and he's out at a race. I'd be like, oh well, like, that's unfair. He got so close, and Paddy Power or whoever pay it out. But they're building that into the price then, because like years ago, if you looked at like the Gold Cup market, you probably have 10 to 1 to field a year before the next Gold Cup. Whereas now, I haven't looked at it, but I'd say Monkfish is probably 2 or 3 to 1 for next year's Gold Cup, and like that's too. Like, he won't be even monies on the day. Like, he'd be 6 to 4, 2 to 1 at a minimum. Like, that way. But it's just, and so if you're taking that, you're taking a full year of risk that this horse is going to go around probably another 9 to 12 miles of racing, jumping 12 fences probably each time, or more.
And a full year of having your money tied up in the bet.
That's it. So he probably has 50 fences to jump over 12 miles in the next year, plus all the training, and get to Cheltenham for you to have to win your money.
He's 4 to 1. Yeah, you're spot on.
Like, is he 4? So, like, that's what, like, they used to, bookmakers used to go, this is anti-post, and you're not getting your money back. And the punters who would be backing in those markets were kind of more sophisticated, and they knew what they were doing. They knew where there was value and where it wasn't. And it, like, if you lost your money, that was it. You're big enough to walk away and say, I did the bet. But a lot of the more, like, I don't feel bad calling people less sophisticated, because it makes me sound like I'm saying I'm an expert, but I'm not. Like, you know that way. Yeah. But the people who can't take the losses for kind of these act of God reasons, or whatever you want to call it,
like gambling,
they force the bookmakers to kind of say, well, there's no point in pricing. We have to price in the justice payout, so that's where we're going to be short. Plus, people are backing at 4 to 1. So
but that justice payout,
that's probably a general consensus that that's where the market should be at. Whereas everybody walked away, and they, like, if every bookmaker had no money in their anti-post book, they might want to start doing something about it. But as Liam said, people are looking at people putting on these 6-folds a year in advance, getting to the races. They've got them at 4 to 1 with their even money on the day, and they're delighted with that. Whereas, as I said, they should be avoiding those markets where the favourites are so short.
Yeah,
in my mind.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were going to say something there.
No, just that those justice payouts as well, they become optional. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're backing it no run or no bet where they will definitely give you your money back. Like, the justice payouts are not that common. I do agree with you that they're baked into the price, but then it just gives the bookie the choice then if they want to pay them out at the end, like give the refunds or not. Just on a completely different note, changing topic, it has ended 2-0 in the Netherlands. So that is an absolute comeback for the ages there from Gary, and he wins at 6-5 with 4 markets coming in from there, with that match finishing 0-0. So, yeah, I'm glad I sided with you, Gary. I kind of had a feeling you were a bit overpriced there for a while. That was a pretty interesting. I was watching it coming in there. There was actually a really, really good chance in the 95th minute, and it was blocked inside the 6-yard box. So that would have been a huge win for us.
I saw there was 6 minutes of injury time. I was like, this is teed up for me to get a late winner here. Like,
I was watching, I couldn't see the 6, it was too small, but I saw it go like 94, 95, and I was like, what is happening here? And blocked in the box. So it was a tough one for you there at the end. Nice win for Gary. So congratulations on that.
Now. I said that was kind of a strange 30 seconds, because you were giving me news about there being no more goals in the Dutch league, and Bray Wanderers were equalising against Shells for the second time. So that kind of curbed my excitement a bit. But yeah, no, it's nice to win. I think I'm unbeaten now, so happy with that.
You think we know you're marking it off your calendar. Don't worry. We all know.
I'm pretty sure. I can't remember last anyway. I beat you, Slats, and I beat you, Lee, and I drew with you, Lee. So
let me just go into it here now and check this. We need to call out an official answer on that. We can't leave viewers going away into the weekend with that kind of misinformation.
You're like the guy down the pub, LB, with your phone out fact checking.
No, can't have this. So week 1 was the draw. Yeah, fucking Buzz Killington. Slats beat me pretty comfortably. As beat Lee then the following week. It looks like
uncomfortably.
Yeah, 6-5. I beat PK the next week, just about. PK beat Lee by half time last week. Oh yeah, you're unbeaten, Gary. That's your second win, bringing you to an unbeaten 2. Including the draw.
That's basically the moral story here. Stick with Gaz. Won't go far wrong.
2 wins in a draw. The invincible strikes again. Well, yeah, I think we'll park that title anyway. It was a good matchup tonight. It was actually pretty enjoyable to watch that.
Down to the wire anyway.
It's a shame that somebody submitted a load of 1 to 3 shots for the bet along. Didn't really get us anywhere. But I think that's my first winner in the bet long in about a month, so I'm going to make the most of this. And then
we're half time. I mean, we're half time in the Birmingham game, Millwall. So
no.
Yeah, but I have an excuse that LB mushed mine by backing over 1.5 on it. That left it alone. That penalty clearly would have been scored.
Yeah, clearly, based on our phenomenal track record of watching penalties go in. I can't remember the last time I saw someone score a penalty. Something to look forward to with the World Cup. Like.
In a while.
The Montpellier game.
On that bookmaker conversation is there probably is a little bit of value out there on specifically Bet365 with their enhanced place offers. So if you go back, I'll look to do this myself. I just haven't had time. But if you go back through the SPs of some of the placed horses in Ireland over the last while, Ireland specifically, there's a lot of like 100 to 1, 150 to 1 horses that are getting into the top 5 and 6 places. And again, like they're not winning the races, but they're getting into places. And if you go on to Bet365, there was a race last week with 20 runners in it. There was probably about 6 or 7 horses that were like probably 75 to 1 or over to finish in the top 9 places. So like you were getting on nearly half the field just to beat a couple of other ones. And I actually backed one just out of a test, and it came in. I think I backed them at 80 to 1 and ended up getting 20 to 1 for the place. I think he finished 5th or 6th, but it's probably something to watch out for. And if you fancy one at bigger odds, go into those enhanced markets. So you use that kind of SP.
Well, remember we
your
we actually shared a video on our TikTok channel last year about it at Bet365 as well. There was a race. I think was it Lady Breffney? Does that sound right to you, Gary? And it was 2 to 11, or like I think it was 2 to 11 or something insane price to win. And then there was another one that was like 4 to 1 or 3 to 1, and then it went 100 to 1, and then it was 6 horses at 150 to 1. So one of them was definitely going to place, and with the enhanced special, there was actually 2 of them could have placed. You had 3 prices, like 3 horses were going to place at least 100 to 1. Oh no, Bray.
Absolute worldly into the top corner.
I actually thought to back more goals in that match when it was 2-1. I thought I wouldn't do it. I kind of regret that now.
It's like 25 yards left foot, top corner. Sickening.
Oh God. What's left on the clock, Gary? Should be a bit of time.
35 minutes, plenty of time to get back into it, but
get the draw. But yeah, like we were just wrap up. I think there's ways you can almost guarantee a bit of an edge with those high odds prices, especially if there's enhanced places. So yep.
Just to say that Montpellier Glasgow game, it's just kicking off the second half. Montpellier are up 13-9. They're only 4 points in front, but given it was a 3-point spread, and they're beating that currently. Like, so if they draw the second half, they have that beaten.
What's the current spread, lads?
It's only 5.5. I got greedy and backed them with an alternative spread at kickoff, minus 6.5, just the 2-way spread. So if they win by 7 points, I got that at 5 to 8. Sorry, 8 to 5 rather.
Knockout games as well as something else. Like they will get to a point where you're not just kicking for the losing bonus point type of scenario, right? So they will get. I've often felt that knockout games either like the upset is more likely because teams take more risks, and then the blowout. Now I'm not actually sure if this is backed up by the stats or not. It's just my feeling. But if you're 5 points down and it's getting late, you won't just take your 3 points. You'll be more inclined to kick. Yeah. So the spread then becomes more achievable. So I think your 6.5 is certainly there.
I mean, they just have to win the second half. They're up by 4, so like 1 penalty win of the second half, they'll do it. Like, and I mean, I still think Glasgow have just been poor. They, I don't know. It'd be hard to see Glasgow winning that match. Yeah, I mean that greed often comes back to haunt you, trying to squeeze out a bit more value on your bet. So see, I still think the 3-point spread was very low. I think they'll hold out to beat that, given the 4 points up. But yeah, see what goes. Hopefully,
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Any games over the weekend catching your eye, lads? I know Lee walked away there, but you two are both regular contributors, at least in spirit, to the 5 scorers. Any, without really ever threatening the top of it now, but any thoughts or anyone picked out yet?
I haven't picked anyone out. I mean, what's the pot now? $5 grand, and like, just to explain it, I mean, there's a group of maybe 30 or 40 people. You pick 5 players every weekend of the Premier League, and if your 5 players score, you win the pot. So basically, everyone's thrown in a fiver every week, and that rolls on to the following week and the next week if the pot isn't won. If somebody doesn't get all 5 of their scores, and it's got on something like what must be hitting 20 weeks now where it hasn't been won. It's generally won every kind of 5 to 6 weeks, and it's just rolled and rolled now up to like $5 grand. So yeah, it'll be a big payday if one of us manages to pull it off. I haven't got close yet.
It's interesting to see the different kind of approaches. It's always the same guys that pick their, Kane, Son, Vardy every single week. The treble or the fivefold of what they're doing is probably just outside 3-1. And then there's the other fellas who are going for your, it's about 55-1 kind of bold out there. You've got your West Hams and your whatever in there. Like I have no opinion. I'm crap. So
I'm a big fan of the obscure ones, even though I'm the same boat as you. I'm fairly shit at it, but there's nothing better when you pick a Milivojevic or something like that, and he gets a penalty and scores. Like, yeah, I know more football than you. Like, it has a better feel. I have it like I'd love to win it with just like 5 defenders or something like that. Just like to be able to turn around to the lads and just be like, it was obvious they were going to score. So yeah.
Do you know what's mad is the you're looking at it and you're going like on Friday night, Salah scores, you're like, right, it's definitely been won this weekend. Then you actually go through it and the overlap is insane. It's like, maybe 2 players will take out 40-50%, and then another 2 players will bring you up to like there's only 3 people left in the whole thing. It's gas.
Matter right. But I do think at this point now, I was running a few obscure picks. The last couple of weeks now, I've just gone with the likely contenders, probably the 5 favourites to be top goal scorer, at the start of the season. Because I just think if you went with the obscure ones now and just 5 obvious players scoring, picking yourself, why didn't I go?
I mean, I suppose now with $5 grand, even if it is split between like 10 people, you're still getting 500 quid or whatever. But that's why I always put in one obscure one at least, because I just want to be able to take it all for myself, so it's as much about.
I do agree with that.
But I don't get that though, because what you're saying is not only is my obscure guy going to score, but these odds on, exactly.
But it gives you a differential. Like it's that. All right, maybe you won't win, but if you do win, you're not almost guaranteed to be sharing it because. Kind of a three bankers and 2 outsiders. That kind of strategy would be me. And then you have to think of the outsiders that nobody else thinks about, which is why I probably only get 1 a week. But that's my logic anyway. Is that probably when the pot's just like a couple $100 quid, I'll put 1 or 2 bankers and 3 or 4 obscure ones. And since it's got bigger, I'm kind of like, right, get my 3 bankers, and then I'll put 1 semi-obscure and 1 really obscure, just so I can trim down the amount of people I'm going to be sharing when I win. That's basically the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to try and get 5 scorers now to start. I don't think I've gotten 4 yet this season. So
I would say I could put through every combination of the 5 I've had all season, and they haven't scored any weekend combined.
Yeah. Right, I think we're at the end, guys. Unless anyone has anything they want to talk to our viewers about.
Montpellier have gone up 20 points to 9, so my late night bet on that is looking pretty good. Yeah, I mean, just over half an hour left, but 11 points to the good. So, yeah, definitely that 3 point spread looked wrong, and it's proven to be so far.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say I have a couple of horses that won't say got to tip up, but I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Get them out there. We've got
tomorrow we have a couple of old friends running. Well, I do anyway. So two that I've backed already. So I've done a double and then backed one of them in a single. Is King's Advice in the 335 at Musselburgh. So I definitely tipped him up on the website before. Probably that was maybe before the stream. And he won once for us. And then basically the last year he's kind of been really bad, just out of form. But he's down to a weight now where I think he has a good chance tomorrow. So he was rated 111 last year in January 2020. He's now rated 97. But he goes tomorrow with a £5 claimer on him. So he's technically running off 92 tomorrow. And Mark Johnson, the trainer, this is a flat race. So to start a flat season, Mark Johnson usually has his horses kind of ready to go early. So I just think it's kind of eye-catching that he has the claimer aboard. So back to him, I think he's around 10s, or he was 10s earlier. I'm not too sure what he is now. You might be able to get some 12s about maybe even in the morning. But King's Advice, 335 Musselburgh. And then a horse that I backed so many times, we tipped him up at Cheltenham. He's one of my handicap picks in the Cheltenham preview night. So Eclair de Beaufort. So he ran at Cheltenham, finished fourth, got hampered. Besides, I think you were on him there, LB, as well. Yeah. After the last two horses kind of converged on him, stopped his run, and he kind of ran on then to finish fourth. So he's basically the same logic. He's running tomorrow. He's £15 lower over hurdles than he is over fences. And he has Jordan Gameford on board, who takes another 7 off. So again, technically running £22 below his chase mark. He's about 4-1, 9-2 in a place. I have to back him because if I see Eclair de Beaufort finishing first and I don't have money on him, it's just got to be the end of me. So the two of those are horses I picked out at so Eclair de Beaufort was the 405 at Ferry House. King's Advice is the 335 at Musselburgh. Depending on how they go, I might have a bet off another old friend who you'll be familiar with as well. That'll be Duke of Firenze. There's running over 5 furlongs at Musselburgh tomorrow, the 411 at Musselburgh. So he's about 20-1. This could be the type of race that he could run into a place in and maybe win. He's off 75. So again, it's probably going to be one that will have a last minute, couple of quid each way on. It wouldn't be a tip in any sense of the word. So if you've never backed him before, it's probably best to keep that record not going. But if you've lost money on him before, you might as well throw more money on him tomorrow. And
Gary back in the Duke of Firenze. Yeah, it's like, when they don't text your ex, it's kind of Gary betting on the Duke of Firenze type of scenario there.
After 20 points.
Still a chance.
So the three of those, I said two of those are horses that I've backed. I haven't backed Duke of Firenze yet. Kind of be a bit mad to back them, but I probably will anyway. The one other thing, I don't know whether you've noticed, LB, but it's a big day for Grangie tomorrow, even though she isn't run. So anybody who's watching in doesn't know who Grangie is. Grangie is a horse that myself and LB part own. Ran at Cheltenham, ran reasonably well. But there's at least 3 horses. I didn't have a chance to look through the whole card, but there's at least 3 horses run tomorrow that finished behind Grangie at Leopardstown when she won at Leopardstown in February. So Mare Quimby in the 115, I think it is, and then Party Central and Brooklyn Glory in the 440. The 3 of those horses, Party Central was second by a neck to Grangie. Brooklyn Glory was probably 4th or 5th, and Mare Quimby was in around 4th or 5th as well. The two of them were close enough boys. So obviously Grangie isn't running, but for the kind of collateral form, you want those horses to run well. So it'd be good to see. It's not possible for the 3 to win because 2 of them are in the same race, but it'd be good to see 2 of the 3 win tomorrow, or go close tomorrow, because it kind of backs up that form. So I thought I'd point that out. And the last one is, and this is a tip, because it's the Irish Grand National on Monday, 5 o'clock on Monday. So there's a horse that sticks out to me. It's 33-1 at the minute. It's called Opposites Attract. So the favourite will probably win this. Favourite's latest exhibition. I backed latest exhibition the last 3 times it run. I love the horse, but he's 6-1, and I can't back a horse in the Irish Grand National at 6-1. So I looked through, seeing what I could go against him with, and this is the one that stuck out to me. His bottom weight has the jockey I like, Conor Maxwell, aboard. So any bookie you can get there are paying kind of 6 or 7 places. I know Boyle Sports sponsor the Grand National, so they're probably going to be paying 7 or 8 places. I see Betfred are 6 places, and QuinnBet are 6 places as well. So if you can get on at around 33-1 or greater on Opposites Attract, I think he'll run well. Probably needs to jump better than he has in the past, but if he jumps, I think he's overpriced. And realistically, he's probably running for a place. But as I said, 33-1, he's the one I'll be backing.
Nice. And speaking of opposites attracting, Lee, we never really actually touched on something we'd promised you. We give you your statutory airtime on Celtic. Are you happy with the news?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to come back to this. I'd say we don't have much time tonight, but yeah, if he signs, I'll be delighted. I'll be delighted. There's an overhaul at the club at all levels. I'd be over the moon if he signed. I'm not sure it's a done deal yet, but maybe we'll come back to it next week in more detail, and we can. Hopefully,
it's an official news story to discuss next week.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'd agree with you. I'm not as close to it as you are, but I think he's huge potential. I think he'd be very, very good addition to the structure there.
Absolutely, yeah.
They'll be playing good football anyway. That's the main thing. I like how it's set up. Like, even with Bournemouth, when they were in relegation zones, he still had them playing a brand of kind of free-flowing attacking football. So,
yeah,
at a minimum, it would be fun to watch.
We've said it before about those kind of managers. Like, sometimes when they're at the lower end of a league, it's really tough to, put your stamp on the team and play that style of football when you're desperate to not get relegated. But he won't have that pressure with Celtic. It'll just be, win nicely or don't win. They're kind of the 3 scenarios you'll have up there. So, yeah, I think it could be a great match. All right, well, we'll have an update on that next Friday anyway. We'll give you a full segment on it, Lee, when it's official.
I mean, I'm more than willing to speak very freely now, but I'm just like, once it's a done thing. I mean, I think he's going to suit us well. I think he's going to suit us very well. With his playing style, his teams have scored more goals, but it's we kind of got into it with Stephen Kenny earlier and the type of manager he is.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Eddie Howe is like one of these. He's only young. I mean, he started managing at 31 right now. He's years of experience in the Premier League, so
he's deceptively young, isn't he?
Yeah, he is deceptively young. Yeah, but I'd be delighted if we get him. I'm not convinced, but I hope so.
Right. Something to look forward to anyway. Right, well, look, make sure to keep an eye on the socials. Gary will, or one of us will update those horse picks that he gave there. Plenty of action to be had then. And we will see you back next week at the same time. Hopefully we have 2 bits of good news. So obviously the signing that Lee is talking about, and the new website should be up and running by then. So it should be a lot easier to navigate, get around, see all the juicy acas that we get out there before we go live. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and follow the pages. It's great help to us, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Thanks, Mike.